The New Frontier: Kennedy's Vision for America. John F. Kennedy's presidency was a time of both promise and peril, a period marked by significant challenges and remarkable aspirations. Elected in 1960 as the youngest president in American history, Kennedy embodied the energy and optimism of a new generation, bringing a fresh perspective to the White House. His administration, dubbed the New Frontier, promised to usher in an era of progress and prosperity for all Americans, aiming to tackle the pressing issues of the time with innovative solutions. Kennedy's vision extended beyond the nation's borders, encompassing a commitment to global peace and understanding, striving to build stronger international alliances. Central to Kennedy's domestic agenda was a commitment to social justice and economic opportunity, seeking to create a more equitable society. He championed civil rights for African Americans, pushing for legislation to end segregation and discrimination, and working closely with civil rights leaders. He proposed ambitious programs to combat poverty, improve education, and provide affordable health care, believing that these were fundamental rights for every American. Kennedy's economic policies, focused on tax cuts and investment in infrastructure, aimed to stimulate economic growth and create jobs, laying the foundation for a more robust economy. His vision was one of an America where every citizen had the opportunity to achieve their full potential, regardless of their background or circumstances. On the international stage, Kennedy faced the daunting challenge of the Cold War, a period of intense geopolitical tension. The threat of nuclear annihilation hung heavy in the air as the United States and the Soviet Union engaged in a dangerous game of brinkmanship, each side wary of the other's next move. Kennedy's handling of the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962, a tense standoff that brought the world to the brink of nuclear war, showcased his cool-headed leadership and commitment to diplomacy, averting a potential catastrophe. He recognized the need for a strong military to deter aggression, but also believed in the importance of dialogue and engagement with adversaries, striving to maintain peace through strength and understanding. The Cold War, a looming shadow over Kennedy's presidency. The Cold War cast a long shadow over John F. Kennedy's presidency, shaping his foreign policy and influencing his every move on the world stage. The ideological conflict between the United States and the Soviet Union, each armed with a nuclear arsenal capable of unimaginable destruction, created an atmosphere of constant tension and fear. Kennedy, thrust into this volatile global landscape, understood the stakes and the need for a steady hand at the helm. The Bay of Pigs invasion in 1961, a failed attempt to overthrow the communist regime of Fidel Castro in Cuba, served as a stark reminder of the complexities and dangers of Cold War politics. The crisis in Berlin, where a divided city became a flashpoint between East and West, further tested Kennedy's resolve. The construction of the Berlin Wall in 1961, a physical manifestation of the Iron Curtain dividing Europe, highlighted the stark realities of the Cold War. Throughout his presidency, Kennedy walked a tightrope, seeking to contain communist expansion while avoiding a direct military confrontation with the Soviet Union. He increased American military spending and strengthened alliances with NATO partners in Europe. He also recognized the importance of diplomacy and engagement in easing Cold War tensions. His creation of the Peace Corps, a volunteer organization dedicated to promoting peace and understanding abroad, reflected his belief in the power of people-to-people diplomacy. Section 4. The Enigma of Lee Harvey Oswald, Unraveling the Motives. Lee Harvey Oswald, the man accused of assassinating President John F. Kennedy, remains an enigma, his motives a subject of endless debate and speculation. The events of that fateful day in Dallas have been dissected and analyzed from every conceivable angle, yet the true reasons behind Oswald's actions continue to elude historians and investigators alike. A former Marine with a troubled past and a documented interest in Marxism, Oswald defected to the Soviet Union in 1959, only to return to the United States with his Russian wife in 1962. His time in the Soviet Union was marked by disillusionment and frustration, as he struggled to find his place in a society that was vastly different from what he had imagined. His actions in the years leading up to the assassination paint a picture of a deeply troubled and alienated individual, but the precise reasons behind his alleged actions remain elusive. Oswald's life was a series of contradictions and failed attempts to find meaning and purpose, leaving behind a trail of questions that have yet to be fully answered. Some theories point to Oswald's political beliefs as a motivating factor. His fervent support for Marxist ideology and his disdain for American capitalism may have driven him to take drastic measures in an attempt to make a political statement. His defection to the Soviet Union and his documented admiration for communist leaders like Fidel Castro suggest a deep-seated animosity towards the United States and its capitalist system. Oswald's interactions with pro-Castro groups and his attempts to travel to Cuba further indicate his commitment to the communist cause. Others speculate that Oswald, a self-proclaimed Marxist, may have seen the assassination of President Kennedy as a blow against American imperialism. In his mind, striking at the heart of American power could have been a way to inspire a larger movement against the perceived injustices of the U.S. government. The Warren Commission, tasked with investigating the assassination, concluded that Oswald acted alone, driven by a desire for notoriety and a twisted sense of historical significance. Their extensive investigation aimed to provide a definitive account of the events, but their conclusions have been met with skepticism. However, the Warren Commission's findings did little to quell the speculation surrounding Oswald's motives. The public's reaction was mixed, with many finding it hard to believe that a lone gunman could have orchestrated such a monumental event. Critics of the official narrative point to inconsistencies and unanswered questions in the evidence, fueling conspiracy theories that persist to this day. These theories range from plausible to outlandish, but they all share a common thread of doubt and mistrust in the official account. Some believe that Oswald was part of a larger conspiracy, potentially involving foreign governments, organized crime, or rogue elements within the American government itself. The complexity and scope of these theories reflect the deep-seated anxieties and uncertainties of the era. Others speculate that Oswald was simply a patsy, a convenient scapegoat for a more complex and sinister plot. This view suggests that powerful forces were at play, manipulating events from behind the scenes to achieve their own hidden agendas. Section 5. A Nation's Innocence Shattered. The Assassination in Dealey Plaza. The assassination of President John F. Kennedy in Dallas, Texas on November 22, 1963, was a watershed moment in American history, marking the end of an era of innocence and optimism. The events of that fateful day, seared into the nation's collective memory, unfolded in Dealey Plaza, a bustling public square in the heart of Dallas, transforming a routine presidential motorcade into a scene of unimaginable horror. The motorcade, carrying President Kennedy, his wife Jacqueline, and Texas Governor John Connally, arrived in Dealey Plaza shortly after noon. Thousands of well-wishers lined the streets, eager to catch a glimpse of the charismatic young president. The atmosphere was festive, the air thick with anticipation. As the presidential limousine, its top down on that sunny autumn day, slowly made its way through the plaza, gunshots rang out, shattering the festive mood and plunging the nation into mourning. The first shot, fired from the 6th floor of the Texas School Book Depository building, struck President Kennedy in the back. The second shot, seconds later, hit the president in the head, fatally wounding him. Governor Connally, riding in the front seat of the limousine, was also seriously wounded. The car, now carrying its mortally wounded passengers, sped off towards Parkland Memorial Hospital, a desperate race against time. The crowd, initially stunned into silence, erupted in chaos and confusion.